Hey guys, this will serve as the weekly overview for June 16th. This is the fourth week in our summer block as we kind of roll through this fourth week. Basically, this will be the first wave of 3 of the 12-week block. So this will kind of be the last bit of what we'll be seeing and we'll be working on. So we're going to start out on Monday with on the 3 minutes for 5 rounds. It's a deadlift, hang power clean, and push press. You're going to go 2 sets, so at the 0 and then at the 3 minute mark, it's 9 deadlifts, 7 hang power cleans, and then 5 push jerks. Now the goal is to add weight on each set, and all the reps must be unbroken, or maybe unbroken up except for the push jerk. So, you can do 8 deadlifts, deadlift one more time, go into it, do 6 hang power cleans, and then do 1 hang power clean, finishing out the push jerks. Really, it's kind of like very much how you would break up the hero workout DT, which is something that we're going to be preparing for. So this is a way to kind of like be able to push the weight a little bit. We are going to cap each one of these sets at 90 seconds, okay, just to make sure we're not pushing too much weight. All right, we do want to be fluid here. But anyway, we got 2 sets where we're going 9, 7, 5, and then we're going to go 8, 6, 4, and then 7, 5, and 3 for that last set, and that should be our heaviest set. And if you're newer to the movements, then it's obviously just about moving well. We don't need to really be pushing the weight a ton, but just trying to be fluent throughout each of the pieces. After that, we are going to go for time, a little chipper, 50 push-ups. Again, we should be touching our chest to the ground every time we do a push-up. It's going to be 100 double unders and then 50 push press at 95-65. So when we're looking at this, guys, this should be a light weight. I mean, you should be able to do sets of 15 to 20 plus on the push press. So choose a weight accordingly. Again, we can look at even the fitness version here where we're going 75-55. I think that's going to be really good for some. And some people might be an empty barbell. And just if you use that empty barbell, try not to throw it down, right? Make sure we're sitting it down nice and easy. We've got the top target here listed at sub 4 minutes. I think that's doable. Obviously, you have to push big sets on the push-ups. I really want to make sure we're focusing on that range of motion, though. Chest to the ground. We're locked out at the top for each rep. Double unders being in a set, maybe 2, but 1 set, and then pushing those push presses to maybe 1 set or 2. Okay, so that's how we get that faster time. But everybody should be able to move through this. This is going to be very much a muscular fatigue workout, pushing muscular endurance and stamina. But that'll be kind of the limiter too. So if we don't have the capacity to push it, then that'll be basically it. If we do have the capacity to push it, we might be a little bit more breathing and just make sure we're maintaining sets. But again, range of motion as you're moving quickly is super important here. All right, on Tuesday, we're going to be doing some gymnastic quality volume, right? We like to try to push the needle and move the needle in the right direction. We're calling it 2 to 6 reps for on the minute for 10 minutes. You can do pull-ups, chest to bar pull-ups, or bar muscle-ups. If we don't have that, we can kind of alternate between kip swings and ring rows, just working on the basics of that, building a foundation of those movements, getting those kip swings in. And you just go on the 30 seconds. So at the 0 and at the 30, you're going back and forth between those. We do want to try to pick some sets that are repeatable on the 60 seconds. So, we're not trying to blow it out and just hit 6, 6, 6, and then go down to 2s and 3s. Pick something that's comfortable. Obviously, if you use 6 reps, that's 60 total reps if you start with the 6s. And just kind of and I would say that's kind of higher volume for most of these higher skill pieces, or it's moderate volume for the pull up. But as we look at it, getting down to 4 or 5 rep range is going to be really good, or even that 2 to 3 rep range for the bar muscle up is a really good idea today. Just again, working on staying really consistent, building that your consistency in the movement and improving the movements. Now after that, we have a interesting kind of workout. I think it's going to be interesting anyway. So we have 12 minutes for row for distance, but at 0 and on the 2 minutes, we're going to complete 10 and no push-up burpee box jumps at 24 and 20. We're not worried about really locking out at the top. You can hop down. You don't have to step down, but we're going to jump up, jump back down, and really just trying to push those 10 to a sub a minute, even 40 seconds would be nice. So that way you're getting at least a minute to even closer to a minute 30 on the rower. And that allows you really to push. So now if we don't have, or that, let's just say that that burpee box jump is kind of really slowing us down, then we are going to push to do that to a plate or something really low. Obviously rowing's very, how fast you get on and transition on and off the rower is going to be very important here. But I think trying to get at least 2,000 meters is a very lofty goal, and I think it could be achieved, especially with rollover. But anywhere in that 1,200 to 1,600, I think is totally doable today, even if it took you over a minute for those. If you're getting close to a minute, 6 minutes of rowing, and 6 minutes of rowing, these two are doable. But to get that 2,000 meter mark, you're really going to have to, push the burpee a little bit just so you have more time on the row. All right, on Wednesday, we're going with that back squat volume. We're dropping the volume a little bit. We're starting around that 50 to 55% for 12 reps. Then we have 2 sets of 10 and a set of 8 and 8. So we're looking at this, guys. Again, we want to try to make all of these sets working sets. All right, so that means that they should be, relatively challenging. I would say a couple reps from failure, maybe 2 to 3 reps from failure. Especially later on, I would look at this as like, hey, we know we have to be between the 50 and 55 for the 12. Maybe we add 5% for the 10, or 3 to 5% for the second set of 10, and now we're up in the 60s, 60% time, or 60 to 70% as we push into those 8s, and those 8s maybe finishing around 75%. If we're really feeling good, even 80% on that for 8. So just kind of give you guys an idea, but again, we just want to be pushing volume. It is on the 3 minutes, so we want to try to push very consecutive reps, so that way you get some rest. If you're always pausing at the top for too long, that could kind of slow you the whole thing down. Now, after that, we have 4 rounds not for time. We have 12 walking dumbbell front rack lunges, 12 to 15 hollow rocks, 12 to 15 dumbbell RDLs, and then 20 to 40 seconds of the arch hold. Really, just looking at this as some single leg work with some hinging, just getting the posterior chain, working on like higher rep posterior chain stuff with the RDLs, and then core work. Obviously, the hollow rock being one of our most basic fundamental, gymnastic and core movements, and then the arch hold. Just finish up that, just getting really high up, trying to even elevate the hands in front, getting the shoulders involved a little bit is a great way to accomplish that, and to really build some core strength, after we do these back squats. All right, Thursday, it's going to be 3 6-minute AMRAPs. First, it's going to be a 1,000 meter bike, a 200-foot sled push, and then max distance on the bike. So you can bike, sled, bike. We'll rest 4 minutes. It's a 200 D-ball carry, and then 800 meter run, and then max D-ball carry again, just carrying this thing as far as we can. 4-minute rest, and then ski, farmer's carry, ski. Okay, this is, I think, is going to be really a good workout, as far as a consistent mover here. With the 6 minutes on and 4-minute rest, it does allow you to push the intensity a little bit higher than what we normally would, because we're getting a little closer to the 1-to-1 work rest. So the way I would kind of approach each of these 6-minute AMRAPs is like, or 6 minutes on the clocks, as if they were, a 15-minute to maybe 20-minute AMRAP. That's kind of the pace I'm going to go out to try to attack this thing. So it's a tougher pace, but since you're not doing the same movements twice throughout this entire thing, you should be able to kind of like even come down. It's going to be cardiovascular wise. We're really thinking about that's kind of the stressor. Whereas like muscular endurance wise, we're going to be changing things up so much. We should be able to kind of maybe on that run, that going from the bike to the run, that might be a little tough. But for the most part, we're doing things a lot differently on each of these. So again, think about this as perceived effort, because we're not going to get to retest it as far as like if we got faster or slower from round 1 to 2. But you don't want to feel like you're totally drained going into the next one, but you also don't want to feel super fresh. So you can kind of play it as you will. Push the pace, but obviously be slightly conservative so you can kind of repeat the perceived effort. All right, Friday, we're back on the snatch work. So we have on the 90 seconds for 8 sets. We're going to be going snatch, pull, plus hang snatch. So that's like at the knee, and then overhead squat, 1-1-1. Okay, so we're working on getting that nice extension, nice balance pull. We're not at the high pull. We're just thinking about up and shrug. Then we're taking that bar back down, getting the shins nice and vertical in that nice hang position. And then we're powering or full snatch, either one that you want to do there. And then we're going to push that overhead squat and really try to think about, pausing in that overhead squat at the bottom is even better. And if we're struggling with all of those movements, then for the fitness, we're just going to go high hang power. Again, if we're missing that power position in the high hang, there's really no reason to go any lower. So focusing on the high hang power snatch and then into overhead squats, 2+2. Again, emphasizing range of motion in the overhead squat versus the load. Now after that, quick 7-minute AMRAP, which is going to be a lot of upper body, muscular endurance. The weight is a little bit heavier. But here's what we're looking at. So we have 9 dumbbell bench press, okay, at 50s and 35s. So that should be relatively non-confrontational. I think 9 should be able to be done unbroken for the majority of this workout, if not the entire thing. 5 box jumps, 24 and 20, but we are going to raise that box height for the RX Plus, which I think, anybody, who doesn't have issues or have no chances of falling off the box, then that's kind of where we're looking at these box jumps. Again, we're always going to step down or hop down, no rebounding. Then we have 3 hang snatches, okay? So with this hang snatch, this can be, for the RX Plus, we are going to expect that to be a squat. But for the performance, we obviously can power that. And this weight, this is a weight that should be tough, but we should be able to do this in 3 reps. So it's probably the toughest weight you can do for 3 reps if you're looking at scaling. Now, for the fitness, we're kind of giving a range on this one as far as between 75 and 95, but you could be even lower, especially if we're having any issues with meeting the hip. But make sure that we are taking time to work those same sound mechanics we were taking, in the previous piece. We should have that really drilled in and ready to go. Okay, so I think it's gonna be a good one, top target. I think maybe EMOM in this would be pretty good, but I think it's a decent amount of volume, and I'm looking forward to see how everybody does. All right, and then on Saturday, we're going to be going on the 90 seconds for 6 sets, 3 to 5 tempo handstand push-ups. That's a 3-second negative pause on the ground, so you don't get to use that stretch reflex, and up. Now, obviously, that makes it about as tough as you can, but we can go wall facing, strict handstand push-ups, kipping handstand push-ups, still doing the negative, and then doing a pike push-up, or if you want to do a strict dumbbell press seated, that also is a good option here just to build the strength. But it's 6 sets, 3 to 5 reps, so we are expecting, that to be a more challenging, version of the handstand push-up or press in general. So make sure you guys are choosing, something that's a little bit tougher. Now after that, teams of 3 rounds. You got 9 cow bike, 21 burpees, and then 3 rounds, 15 cow bike, 15 burpees, and then 3 rounds, 21 cow bike, and 9 burpees. So each partner will complete a full round before switching. All right. So basically, you each do one of these. So if I'm partner 1, I go 9 bike calories, 21 burpees. My other partner 2 goes, partner 3 goes, and then I get on there and I go 15 and 15, and then partner 2 goes, partner 3 goes, and then I go 21 and 9. So everyone gets to do each one of these. It is a work rest. You should be getting twice the amount of rest, obviously, that you do work. And we'll just see how this goes. This is very much a sprint piece. We're really going to be pushing your power output. Definitely hammer down on the bike, and then on the burpees, we're just trying to get as tall as we can. We're jumping and clapping, but we're just trying to get upright, and we're trying to really push the pace. Okay, intensity is king in this workout, and that's what we're going to be looking to do today, is really push it. All right, guys, so that is it for the week 4 review. As always, guys, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at brandon@makocrossfit.com or Instagram, or if you see me in the gym, say hello. And I love answering questions about class, programming, or why we do things. Let us know how your progress is going. We'd love to hear how things are going, good or bad. It allows us to get better, make changes to improve your ability to improve inside the gym. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.